Most weapons in Warframe look, play and feel like, well, regular guns. However, there are a few exceptions to this rule. Hey guys, hello and welcome back. As always, my name is Leyzar and today we're gonna be diving deeper into the Synoid Gammacor, a Mastery Rank 7 secondary beam weapon. Considering the low mastery lockout on this weapon, I'm gonna be covering a lot of the basics, so if you're a veteran of the game, please bear with me. And with that out of the way, let's jump into the Synoid Gammacor. Now before we start slapping on mods and all whatnot, let's check out how the weapon handles and how it behaves without anything equipped. First of all, it's a held trigger. That means you're gonna have to hold your left click and it will channel a frontal beam. The range on the beam is 30 meters. It may look infinite, but it does have maximum 30 meters range. Second of all, it doesn't start up at full damage. You see there's kind of a spool up effect to it. However, that is not really representative of the actual damage. What you should take away from this is that it starts off at 20% of its base damage, quickly climbs up to 100% over the course of 0.6 seconds. After you stop firing, it will stay at 100% of its damage for 0.8 seconds, after which it will decay back to the original 20% over the course of 2 seconds. It functions pretty similarly, actually identical to the Amprax. Anyway, let's jump into stats and see exactly what we're dealing with. First of all, my mod capacity is 60 out of 60, and if your Gammacor only has 30 out of 30, then jump into actions and plug in an Arcane Catalyst. The Arcane Catalyst can be found from alerts, invasions, or if you're lucky, from the daily sortie. Next up, the number 6 right here means that my weapon has been format a total of 6 times. However, for the weapon build, I'm recommending you guys 4 forma should prove sufficient. By default, the Synoid Gammacor, which you get from Cephalon Suda for 100,000 standings, or you can also buy it from the trade chat for about 30 plat, something like that. The item is tradable as long as it hasn't been leveled at all. In any case, by default, the Synoid Gammacor does come polarized with 2 slots, one Naramon, a little dash, and one Vazarin, which I changed to another dash. This was necessary in my case. In your case, the 4 forma should be enough. There's one more very important thing to note. Because the Synoid Gammacor is a syndicate weapon, it will have a very special proc effect that most weapons don't have. Now take a look at the lower right corner. You will see a little symbol. That is the sigil of Cephalon Suda. That symbol would get filled up the more affinity you get. After you get about 2000 affinity, the symbol will be full and the proc will take effect. It's a 25-meter explosion around the player, which will deal 1000 magnetic damage, and it will apply the magnetic status effect, and it will also restore 25% of your base energy, and it will also grant you a 25% base energy increase for 30 seconds. I thought it was important for you to know that. Most weapons don't have that, and it can definitely come in very useful. Accuracy is 100. This is a beam weapon. Currently, after the rework at least, beam weapons have been very strong. They're really good at applying status chance. But in any case, accuracy is top notch. We're not really gonna play around with it because we don't have any mods that take advantage of our lower accuracy. We're gonna talk about that later. Critical chance is awesome at 20%, and we got a critical multiplier of 2.0. Now I say awesome because again I take into account that this is only an MR7 weapon. Fire rate is 12, which is quite nice, and a magazine capacity of 80. Now you should also note that per 0.5 ammo it will do 1 tick of damage. So for a single ammo it will do 2 ticks of damage. Again, it functions very similarly to the Amprax. Noise alarming, of course. Reload is 1.8, which again, considering the magazine capacity, isn't all that bad. Riven disposition is unfortunately only 1 out of 5, which will mean that the Rivens for this weapon will be kinda weak. The higher the Riven disposition a weapon is, the more potent the Rivens will be. And if you're ever curious of knowing, hey, what is the Riven disposition for X or Y weapon, simply check out the wiki. The Riven disposition doesn't show up here unless you actually have a Riven for the weapon. Status chance is 20%, which again is very good, especially considering this is a beam weapon, the trigger is held, and the damage by default is magnetic. And we're gonna talk more about elemental damage types just a little later. As you can see, for now you have 21 magnetic damage by default, which is the combination between electricity, the little lightning symbol, and called the little snowflake symbol. In any case, it's time to start slapping on some mods. And the first thing you should always do is slap on flat damage with Hornet Strike. Now Hornet Strike 220% extra damage. If you're unclear in what to sink your endo in, Hornet Strike is never a bad idea. When it comes to additional damage, you have the option of Magnum Force. Now Mag Force fully upgraded will give you 66% extra damage at the cost of 33% accuracy. This currently is an extremely underpowered mod and I don't recommend it for mostly any weapon. Here's a better option, Augur Pack with 90% extra damage plus the benefit of the set. Much better than Magnum Force, which will also suck a lot of endo. I honestly don't even know what the hell this mod right now. But in any case, we got our damage, so why don't we move on to the next most important thing, which is multi-shot. You have two options, and initially we're gonna slap on both of them. Barrel Diffusion will offer you 120% multi-shot, and if you don't know what multi-shot means, it simply means that you are firing multiple projectiles with a single click of a button. For beam weapons, it simply means more damage. Just think of it like that. The second multi-shot mod is called Lethal Torrent. Now Lethal Torrent is a dual mod, 60% fire rate and 60% multi-shot. What the fire rate will do is lower our kill time, but the primary reason we're slapping this one on is the multi-shot, and it is definitely worth it. Now that we got our damage and our multi-shot, what follows next is the crit chance and crit damage. And don't worry about it, I'm not gonna tell you to slap on prime this and prime that. We're gonna have a souped up setup a bit later. But for now, crit chance with Pistol Gambit, 120% crit chance. And yes, of course, if you have the prime version, definitely slap on the prime version, but it may require you to format a couple of more times. High critical chance is nothing without critical damage, so we're gonna be slapping on Target Cracker. If you have primed, use the primed. The normal version will offer you 60% critical damage, so now my critical chance is up to 44% and my multiplier is up to 3.2x. Now those are decent. Again, taking into account the low mastery rank, this is pretty good without prime mods. What follows next depends on what you're gonna do precisely with the weapon. Where are you going and who are you fighting? For example, if you guys are going to fight the Infested, Magnetic is not terribly great against them, but you can build Viral if you so desire. A Viral is the combination between Cold and Toxin, and it will do 75% extra damage against most Infested. If you're going up against Corpus, they are weak to Magnetic, which is the default damage we have on the Gammacor. Magnetic will deal extra damage against their shields, so you're nuking down the shields faster. You also have the option of building Gas. Gas will bypass their shields entirely and deal damage directly to their health. For today's example, we're going to be taking the toughest targets in Warframe, which are the Grineer. Heavy Gunner Grineer corrupted version. Against Grineer, your safest bet, most of the time, not all of the time, is Corrosive. And Corrosive is the combination between Electricity and Toxin. So why don't we make Corrosive? First off, we're going to start off with Electricity. You have two options. Either the 90 mods, which will give you more damage, or the 60-60 mods, which give you less damage, but a very good chunk of status chance. For now, we're gonna go with the 90 mod with Convulsion. Next, we need a little bit of Toxin. And again, the same option as before, you can go for the 90 mod, or you can go for the 60-60 mod. Now, the thing about building Corrosive and a weapon that can consistently remove armor is that you don't want to overdo it. If you completely remove the armor from a target and their health bar turns red, then you will be dealing less damage to them with a corrosive based weapon, simply because your 75% extra damage bonus versus ferrite armor will disappear. Now I have exemplified this in multiple videos. Check out my Maradetron or my Amprax build to see more. In any case, now we got our corrosive up to 337 because we put on Convulsion and we mixed it with pathogen rounds. Now please notice that I still have my magnetic on. It wasn't affected when I put on electricity, and that might seem a little bit weird because magnetic is the combination of electricity together with cold. So the electricity did not jump into the pool of magnetic. If you want to further amplify the magnetic damage, then you need in the weapon to recreate the same element, at least for weapons that already have a combination of elements by default as damage. So I put on my electricity. I would need some cold to make more magnetic. So let's slap on Deep Freeze. Again, this is just for the sake of exemplifying. And now indeed everything, both of these 90 mods washed into the default magnetic. But again, that's not what we're doing. We're going back to corrosive with a bit of Toxin. Now the final mod slot is what I could like to call an option slot, but from my testing, the best option you can go for is one 60-60 mod that will further amplify your damage combo. In my case, it's corrosive, so I need either a bit more Toxin or a bit more electricity. And for the sake of using the cheaper option, we're gonna go with Pistol Pestilence. Now this one drops from Corrupted Vor in the Void. If not, go to the trade chat, 10-15 plat on an absolute max, and you should definitely get it because you're gonna need it for a lot of your weapon builds. Now I put on Pistol Pestilence, so I got even more corrosive damage and my status chance climbed up to 44.8. If you go for two 60/60 mods and you want to slap on the electricity one instead of a 90 mod, then you're overdoing it with corrosive and you might remove all the armor from your target before you kill it, which will mean that you'll be doing less damage. For my recommendation to you guys, one 60/60 mod is more than enough. Now that we got our initial build, why don't we test it? It's only a mastery rank 7 weapon, right? It can't possibly deal that much. Or can it? These are level 115 corrupted heavy gunner, way out of MR7 league, but check out what the Gammacor can do to them. In just a couple of seconds I am able to take out one of these high level targets, and please take a note of their health, how fast it climbs down past the 50% mark. So again, up until 50% we're kinda slow, but then it quickly ramps up. Why is that? That is the corrosive effect, reducing the armor on the target and me constantly dealing more damage to them. Also the ramp up effect of the Gammacor as well. And again, when it hits 50%, it quickly kills the target. I'm removing armor consistently and I'm taking these targets out without any prime, without any Riven in a couple of seconds. This thing is incredible for an MR7 weapon. And you know what? I think I'm gonna use it on a daily basis. Now, before we go any further, let me propose to you a bit of a trade-off. This mod, Hydraulic Crosshairs, now this one on headshot will give you 135% crit chance while aiming for 9 seconds. I propose you use it instead of Lethal Torrent. Now make no mistake about it, your DPS will drop, your kill time is going down by replacing the Hydraulic Crosshair with Lethal Torrent, but you are killing a target with less ammo, so it becomes a bit more ammo efficient. It's a bit of a trade-off. Do you want a bit more ammo efficiency for a little bit of DPS loss? Then definitely I would highly recommend this combination. Hydraulic Crosshair is not exactly a common mod. If you go to the trade chat and want to buy it, 510 plat, at least on PC on an absolute max. If you want to farm it, then Lua Spy Missions is where you want to go. Check the link in the cards now for a full how to farm guide. Quick, 10 minutes, easy. In any case, for now, we're gonna keep on Lethal Torrent. Now, one more thing, because I know you guys will scream at me if I don't. Punch through, here you go. Seeker will add 2.1 punch through, that represents 2.1 meters. Now in putting on punch through, what will happen is that, even like in the image there, your beam will go through your initial target and hit 2.1 meters behind it. Now this is extremely useful, especially when clearing lower level content. If you want to use some punch through on your weapon, just keep in mind that the drain on Seeker by default, fully maxed out, is 15. Now that's a high drain. If you want to put it on, I recommend you drop one of the 90 mods. Well, actually the Toxin one, so you still have corrosive between electricity and Pistol Pestilence. Now let me show you what it does with just a little bit of punch through on it. We're gonna re-simulate the exact level 115 corrupted heavy gunner. I use corrupted units because they have more health and armor than regular units. And I'm gonna go once again for headshot. Of course, I'm not killing my target as fast, but I killed 2 targets with a single, well, with a single shot, let's call it like that. Because my beam goes through the first one and it also hits the guy behind him. Actually, I killed the guy behind him before the guy in front. That's because the status chance, of course, is just a chance. So I probably applied more status to the target behind the initial target. And that's kind of gonna conclude my recommendation. Seeker is definitely a smart choice, and so is Hydraulic Crosshairs. The option will come down to you guys. Now let's switch to a Riven setup. Now I'll be honest here, the disposition of the weapon is only 1 out of 5. I do not recommend for MR7 you going out of your way and trying to get Riven. It is not necessary, it is massively overkill, and the Synoid Gammacor simply does not require a Riven. But for the sake of presentation, I managed to get one. This one is an acquirable. Anyway, 72% crit chance and 51.8% crit damage, because again, this is only a Dispo 1 weapons. It's not really, well, all that impressive, not like Dispo 3, 4 or 5 weapons. The Riven is not extremely powerful in the sense that it doesn't give a lot of stats. If this was a Dispo 3 weapon, you could have expected 130% crit chance with 100% crit damage, something like that. And you're also going to notice that I did put on Hydraulic Crosshairs instead of Lethal Torrent because I liked the proposition it offers. Other than that, Prime Pistol Gambit and Prime Target Cracker took up the slots of the normal versions, and that's, well, pretty much all that I modified to the build. Now let's see what kind of a difference are we gonna get. Resimulate the same guys. I don't have punch through anymore, so I'm not going through my targets. Pretty similar, isn't it? Again, it's a Dispo 1 weapon. Is it better? Yes. If you crunch the numbers, it's about 7% better. It's simply not worth it. The Rivens for this weapon currently are not very expensive. Definitely not. You can get an unrolled for as low as 30 plat. It used to be, once upon a time, the secondary weapon to have in an era where the Synoid Gammacor simply beat out everything. However, that is not the case anymore. But it still is one hell of a weapon, especially considering the low mastery rank requirement. Now let's pick up Lady Mirage so we can push this even further. What I'm gonna do is further amplify my pistol damage with pretty much everything that I can. She's got Pistol Lamp. Now Pistol Lamp is an aura. If you want to buy it directly from the trade chat, it is farmable, so you can farm it in the game, but if you want to buy it directly, something like 10-15 plat on an absolute max. Arcanes, you guys probably don't have access to them right now, but if you do have access to Arcanes, here are a couple of good options. First off, Arcane Velocity. On critical hit, 60% chance for 80% fire rate to pistol for 6 seconds. Now this doesn't do much for your ammo economy, but it will lower your kill time severely, so that means a lot more DPS. Here's another option, Arcane Awakening. On reload, 40% chance for plus 100 damage to pistols for 16 seconds. Another very good option, it's on reload. The reload of the Gammacor is only 1.8. When fighting higher level targets, 100 and plus, you're gonna be doing a lot of reloading, so I would definitely recommend you checking out this one. It's also fairly cheap, so there's that. The second Arcane drops from the third Eidolon. The first Arcane dropped from the second one, just so you know. On headshot, 80% chance for plus 120% damage to pistols for 8 seconds, and DR3 for this one is worth about 120-150 plat. And of course the usual plus 1 Arcane revive. Now let's see what kind of a difference can we get with some Arcane Zon. And of course we're gonna resimulate the exact same targets, and we're gonna activate Mirage's first ability and her third ability for a massive damage increase, and the clones as well. And you're gonna see quite the difference, look at that. The Synoid Gammacor, a mastery rank 7 weapon, it's simply shredding through these guys like they were mostly nothing. In a full clip I was able to kill what, 5 of them, 4 of them, something like that. And you know what, I can make great use of that extreme precision the weapon's got. I'm pretty far away from my target, but I don't have any issue because again, this is a beam weapon. Absolutely outstanding. I highly recommend this weapon. It's an absolute beast, and it's especially good when it comes to popping bubbles. And if you don't know what that means, well, Corpus Nullifiers, the guy with the big shields around him, yes, the Synoid Gammacor is extremely good at dealing with them. One more thing, I was talking about ammo economy. Normally, I honestly don't run out of ammo with the Synoid Gammacor, but if you want to take it in a defense or a survival, 20-30 meters plus, or 1 hour, 2 hours if you're that kind of person, then you might consider Carrier or Carrier Prime. Any one will do for ammo issues, because Carrier has a very specific mod called Ammo Case. An unused, unfused artifact increases ammunition capacity by 25% and converts ammo picks up into the ammo for equipped weapons for 2 seconds. Just make sure you have the Gammacor equipped, and with Carrier and Ammo Case, it is practically guaranteed that you will be never really running out of ammo. And well, I think that's gonna do it for this build guide. Hopefully you got all the information now to build your Synoid Gammacor, and rest assured it is 100% worth it. As always, my name has been Leyzar. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. If you have any feedback for me or would like to request a specific weapon review, then by all means, leave it in the comment section down below. I can't realistically promise you that by next time it will be done, but I will be reading through each and every comment. But until next time, guys, bye-bye!